Basically, Sofia, congratulations for being accepted to INSEAD because it was your objective.
Thank you.
So, so tell me, what are your plans until late December? No. So what is the life of someone who has been accepted to INSEAD before he starts INSEAD? So what is INSEAD like before starting INSEAD?
To be honest, this is everything at the moment. I just got accepted, so I'm like really making the first payment, and I haven't really got. I mean, you already have a lot of information. They already connect you with all the students. But at the moment, I'm planning to work, and then I'll stop in December to travel a little bit before doing that until then. And I guess I'll have a lot of opportunities to start connecting with the students because I think that's one of their priorities right away.
Okay. But you have like a pre-MBA program to complete or not? The quality of the
to be honest, I haven't been given much information about that. I know I want to have when you apply to INSEAD language, so I want to do the Spanish exam because I don't have a Spanish exam to prove that. I want to do that before starting, and then I'm guessing that they might send some stuff until because they are still there are still applications going on. I'm guessing that they will only let us know that information by September.
Okay, so that's the thing that you have. So for the time being, there's nothing to do because I interviewed one of my students. Alors, for instance, he's learning French, but he doesn't have a second foreign language. He's learning French, and now he's studying finance, strategy because he's an engineer. So he's very, very busy. He told me that every day he's busy preparing for his MBA. Okay. But of course, it's a different story because it's a different story. Alors, Sofia, you are not Spanish, even though you speak Spanish perfectly well. So, what is your background? Can you tell us more about yourself?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Can you tell us more about yourself? Because you're not Spaniard, so you're Portuguese. What brought you to work for wherein? So, can you tell us about your background?
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm 26. I am from Porto, from Portugal. I did a master in industrial engineering. And when I was in the master's, I thought that I would continue to learn. So I wanted to go to a different area of what we expected, which would be logistics and stuff like that, operations. And I decided to start studying a little bit more strategy. And I applied to all the alignment when it comes to the med firm, in case you don't know. And I applied to Madrid. They don't have an office in Portugal. That was my idea, was to move abroad here 2 years and a half ago. And that's me. This is my background.
Okay, voilà. And what brought you to Spain? Why didn't say Portugal or why not to the UK? What brought you to Spain, Sofia? Because you speak the language? Because you were hired for Spain? Why?
So main idea of Spain, or where, like I was starting the master's, so everything was very quick when I got in because I wanted to start very early on to be like cautious, and then I immediately got in. So that was I didn't really have time to think of alternatives, but Madrid was my first option because it's close for home. I mean, the work job opportunities are amazing when compared to Portugal. I think it's a very fun city to live when you're young, and so everything sounded like the perfect plan. My idea is to eventually go back to Portugal someday, although I don't think I'll ever really work there because I mean job opportunities are quite limited. But I mean, Madrid is such a nice city when you're like someone from elsewhere.
Yeah, because your plan. So sorry, I'm going to take my headset. Because your plan is to work for Oliver Wyman. So can you explain to us the type of agreement that you have with Oliver Wyman, how it works exactly? that you have to go back? Because normally my students, they come. Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, I
Not
get
sure
it.
if it's
Exactly.
my
Will you go back to
Wi-Fi.
will you go back to
Where
Overwhelming when you
you,
finish your master's?
yeah. No, but she understands, she understands me. So yeah. So,
Okay, so my idea,
yeah.
like most management consultant firms, when they sponsor you for the MBA to the front for a few years, in my case, that would be 2 years. And because I'm still very young, I think I'll benefit a lot from those 2 years. I will eventually become a manager by then. So I think that to develop really some expertise in an industry, develop management skills, I think it would be a great opportunity for me. And then eventually I would love to, I want to specialize in retail. So I would love to go to a different firm and to the strategy area of that firm, eventually in fashion, if I manage to get there. But the first 2 years after the MBA, I'm guessing I'm going back to Oliver Wyman. I'm just not sure whether that will be Madrid or somewhere else.
Okay, so you don't know why we. Okay. Yes, very good. And so that's the thing. So knowing that you already work in management consulting, and that you're going to go back to management consulting, what is the added value of an MBA for you? Because you're going to do the same job as the job that you already have after the MBA. So why do they pay the MBAs? Because they want you to leave, or what is the logic behind that to spend 1 or 2 years abroad to come back and work for the same company at basically the same type of job roughly? So what is the logic behind that?
So I feel like for me, I think that from a firm's perspective, they want to develop their value proposition, and doing and sponsoring someone when they want to go away, it's always a way of making sure that they will come back. And I think that makes the firm even more attractive when you're applying. So from the firm perspective, I think it really has to do with that. Also, all the networking that the student or the employee will be doing during the MBA, if well applied, can be very interesting once you come back to the firm. Also, I will work as an Oliver Wyman sponsor at INSEAD at the campus, and really connect students who want to enter management consulting. So that's that as well. From my perspective, I really feel like several things. I feel like it's going to be a year for me to prioritize myself and really think of what I want to do after that. I want to study. I've always loved to study, so I'll be studying different things, especially because I have an industrial engineering background. The networking opportunities, both with teachers and students, who will be eventually, I'm hoping, the leaders of tomorrow. So having those contacts in Europe will also be amazing. And for me, those are the 3 most important things. Also, all the soft skills that you learn there, that you really don't put that much effort once you are in a job where you work 14 hours a day. Really having some time to stop and prioritize yourself, I feel like that's amazing.
Yeah, of course, we understand it's a big thing, and probably because Oliver Wyman will give you more responsibilities, and they want to give you a senior management position after this MBA in the coming years. So tell me, Kevin, how many people are in class today, in your class? Maybe they can ask questions. Who do we have? We have Jamie, Jaime, Seda. By the way, Ksenia, can you ask can you ask Rashti to come to design?
Pardon?
Ksenia, can you ask Rashti to come? Yes. So tell me. So Jaime, for instance, what are the questions that you have for our friend?
I mean, I don't know. I was just, well, right now, because I'm actually just focused on the GMAT for the time being. So maybe just a little bit background. What's your experience with the GMAT and how you got that grade?
Basically, yes. Can you tell us your experience about the GMAT? And then, Kevin, can you tell us what you have, what has been your experience also working with Sofia. Now, Sofia, what has been your experience of the GMAT in general, and of preparing the GMAT with Kevin in particular? What advice would you give to Jaime?
I feel like after the classes, you just try to develop some sort of plan. Like you've been given
Yeah.
all the bases to really knock the exam. You need to work a lot, obviously. For me, I never stopped working, by the way. I always kept working. So I studied like late in the afternoon and during the weekends. But I feel like I develop a plan. Everything like the weekend before the week, I would say how many exercises I wanted to do each day, and I would do it, regardless of whether I'd finish working at 10 or 11. And for me, because I wanted to do the exam on the first, like just one try. So if that's what you want to do, like focus on the exam and get it over with. Because a lot of people, and I think Kevin knows this more than me, but a lot of people, like they do the classes, or they take, like I see it in my firm, they take 3 weeks off to study for the exam. Then life gets in the way, you party every weekend, and eventually it takes a year for you to do the exam instead of 3 months. So if that's the priority, and I know how frustrating it is to not go to that dinner party or to leave a little bit earlier, but for me, I just wanted to get it over with right away.
Okay, so that's the thing. So and you got 710, no 740. You got 740, Sofia. Yeah, you got 740.
Yeah.
Huh? So
Yes.
but you took it twice. I think you took it once, and you took it twice to get
Yes.
740. So the first time you got.
No, I just took it once. It was a one. I did the exam one time.
Okay, I thought that you had 710 and 740. I guess it was Miguel. Sorry, it was probably Miguel who took it twice, something like that. By the way, there's something that I want to tell you. INSEAD asks for all your scores. You know that you can erase your score, okay? But INSEAD wants your score still. So if they would ask you to give them all your scores, not just the score that they see officially, but the score that you erase. So you have to see that if they ask you this, you can give the score that you want, because INSEAD there's no way of asking you real. You imagine that you got 580 and then you retake the GMAT and you get 680, and you don't want to say that you scored 580, okay? But you can say I got 600, okay? And they have no ways of checking, okay? Well, anyway, what I want to say is that INSEAD will always consider the best test. So if you start with 450, then you get 550, and then you finish with 740. They don't care. They will consider the highest score. They will consider that if you have been able to score 740, your level is 740. Okay. Kevin, what was your collaboration with Sofia? What did you do with her? Because 740 on the first test is very impressive. So what did you do with her?
Well, before I answer your question, I just want to clarify that. So, what would be better, doing the exam 3 times? One time 610, the other time 680, the second time 680, and then 740, or doing the exam only once and getting a 730?
But basically in Europe, they prefer that you have 740, okay, even if you take it 3 times. It's so that in the US, they will consider that your 740 is not exactly a 740, okay? I don't know what they consider, by the way, but it doesn't have the same weight. So in the US, I would say 740 is better than 750 if you have taken the test 3 times, okay? But in Europe, they consider the best score, because they say if you have been able to score 750 is your score. See, Kevin, there's a big difference between the US and Europe. I would say that in Europe, they would say, oh, the guy or the girl is very persistent and he has worked so hard to get a 750, so we should reward him for that, and 750 is his or level. In the US, if you got a 750 after 3 attempts, they will say it somehow cheats, okay? It's a very different approach of the test. Wow. That's but they don't average. Don't worry, they don't average. Okay. But at the same time, Sofia, you have the perfect profile for GMAT because your English is excellent and you're an engineer. So basically, you're good at maths and your English is good. what did you find? What was the easiest section of the GMAT, Sofia?
I'm sorry, I was muted. I think the math part was I don't think it. Like, math part was definitely the easiest one. I felt like the verbal was really the one that was making me go eventually a little bit up or down in the simulations. So one recommendation is to not just focus on the quant part, because the other one counts the same. So and it's much harder, at least for me it was.
Okay, so that's the thing. Kevin, you have another question for Sofia?
No question. So you actually kept up. How many hours did you put in during the course, apart from the 8 hours of class a week that you had? Would you say that you spent maybe 4 or 6, 8 hours during the week?
Yeah.
So when I was, during the course, I didn't do anything else. So I really wanted to start the course early on to get, because like for an engineer, you don't really heard much of the GMAT while you're studying, because you don't want to apply to a finance master's. So it's not, I didn't know much about it. So I wanted to start the classes early on and just really focus on those 4 hours a weekend for the entire month. So that was my priority. I was reading, but I was not really studying much. And then once it was over, like, I made a plan and I used to study, I would say 2 to 2.5 hours during the week. And then on the weekends, at least 4 or 6 hours more. But that was it. Like, I never really stopped working, for example. I never really did 8 hours a day. I then had like 1.5 weeks before the exam where I was during Christmas holidays. So I focused that last like 2 weeks to the exam, and that was it. But this was 2 months after. So I did 1 month of the classes and then 2 months for studying like this, more or less.
Well, it's a good thing, huh? It's a good thing. So the GMAT has been easy. She was a good student. They are all like this, Kevin, or they take sometimes they take more time than her. It can be a bit more.
I wish they were all like this. Yeah. My job would be a lot easier. I mean,
because it happens.
Definitely, she's an outlier in that sense.
Yeah. And I can see that she's a bright person. And as I explained, she has the exact right profile, because her job is pretty intellectual. Her English is good, and she's good at math. Of course, when your math is not so good, when your English is a bit weak, it's another issue. Huh? So now about the admission process. So what is it, Sofia, to apply for an MBA? Because of course, when I have students from Kevin calling me, they say, "Wow, INSEAD is so difficult," and of course they have a lot of steps. You know, the DSS, the letters, etc. So what is it like to apply?
So first thing is that the process takes a lot more time than what you actually expect. Like, you think it's just after the exam, it's easy and you just need to write 4 essays and that's it. But it is not. And because I never stopped working, like I said, I wanted to have like a smooth process. Like, for me, I would rather, in this case, ask for Dr. Hubert's help than just doing everything myself, because I know that eventually it would take like the double, the time that I take, it would take the double if I did it by myself. So I felt like it's a process, it takes time.
Where are you, Maria? Sofia, are you at home? Where are you?
It takes more time than you think.
Maria?
But it's, I mean, I think it's very helpful. No, I'm outside actually. I'm in a restaurant because I had a lunch right after. So I'm in a restaurant.
Yeah, because the internet is very bad. So we cannot see you very well. Okay, but let's do our best. The picture is very bad, and there's no.
The picture not bad.
Yeah, for me, I cannot see you. Can you go? So what is the process? So basically the process is that you have to write application, letters, a Kira talent, and an interview. So what is it to cover all that, Sofia? Tell us. Hello?
So I feel like after the GMAT is definitely the most difficult part. So once you get over that, then that's for me, that was what my priority. And then you need to start preparing for the essays. So for INSEAD, they clearly ask you, they are very clear in what they ask you, because they split the process into questions. So basically you have like work related questions or more personal related questions. Everything is very specific in what you have to write, but it is a lot of essays, like 7 or 8 essays. So for me, initially I had a session with you, Dr. Hubert, to really define like my profile and what was my story for these essays. And then I like did a first draft and validated and iterated with you. And then once you have that, you need to enter the website. They ask you for a lot of information. It's not as easy as it may seem. And then that's that. But it is a process. It takes time. I would say to at least have a month and a half for all these iterations, because obviously you have other students, so things take time.
Yes. And anyway, so basically to give you an idea, I'm working now with one of your students, okay, Kevin. So we started to work on the application last weekend, okay. We started to work on it, yes, so September 10th, June 10th, because he took the GMAT, then he had to take the TOEFL, and we agreed that we'll do the application after the TOEFL. And the application will be ready this Thursday. So it took us like 12 days to complete the application, okay? So sometimes it can go fast, but of course, when a student is not in a hurry, okay, we can take more time, okay? So usually, so we can go fast, so we can go slow. So basically, we adapt to the deadline. So the student that you have, you see Kevin, he wants to send his application. The application has to be sent by, I think, by late next week, okay, I believe, the 24th, the 23rd of next week. And Bombay will be ready the day before, but we have completed the whole thing in less than 2 weeks. And then once you have completed the application, Sofia, the CV, the essays, the mini essays, the letters, there's something very specific about INSEAD. So can you tell us what it is, the Kira talent? What it is, this famous Kira talent?
Yes. So Kira talent is as soon as you apply, you have access to a link. And it's basically 4 questions where you have, I think, 40, like, I'm not sure of the times, but I would say more or less 1 minute to prepare for the test questions and more or less 1 minute to reply. So with you, it was simple because you shared a list of questions and we also prepared for them. But it's basically, they want to see your profile, they want to see how you communicate, they want to test your English as well. So that's very specific to INSEAD, and it's a bit stressful, obviously, but you do it right after you apply.
Okay, so basically when you apply, you have 2 days to complete the Kira talent, probably because they don't want you to prepare. But at the same time, there's very little to prepare. You see, Kevin, the Kira talent, it's a sort of TOEFL. It's a sort of speaking with a video. Okay. And by the way, with a friend of mine, we are developing a platform, and he has developed a TOEFL platform, and we just asked him to put a video on his TOEFL platform. Okay, and to get rid of the other section. So that's what he's doing for me. So it's very simple. Okay. So basically, from what I understand, they tend to say that they don't know who's taking the test. There's a lot of cheating, and the Kira talent, it's a way for them to see the person and to make sure that the person who is applying is the person who is taking the Kira talent. Okay, it's very strange because of course, so it's an easy TOEFL. Okay, but of course, students are a bit scared because they believe it's a difficult test. It's like the GMAT. So we prepare for it. So we do 1 or 2 sessions for the Kira talent, and then the interview. What it is, the interview? Because INSEAD is very specific. It's very different from the other schools. So what is the specificity of the INSEAD interview in terms of interviewer, number of interviews, questions, etc.? Tell me.
It is quite simple, actually.
So once you do all that, you have like 2-3 weeks to hear back from them on whether you passed or not. And if you do, they will let you know who will be your interviewers, which are 2 alumni from INSEAD. And you need to contact this alumni and ask for an interview. And then it can be right away or in a few days. They typically match the profile more or less to yours. So either someone that studied the same as you or someone that came from the same country. So they try to make more or less a match. And then 2 interviews, mine were very chill, to be honest. It's a Zoom call with people that, I think it's super interesting. I had one that was much more formal in terms of the question they asked. You could tell they had some sort of questionnaire in mind, while the other one was a lot more smooth, and it was really about the interview and not having answer questions in particular. But both of them, I think, went well. You're basically speaking with people that somehow have the same interests as you. They did the MBA a few years ago. I feel like it's also an opportunity to learn more about the school and whether it's a match to you as well. So that part, I think, after all the essays and the career talents, everything is much more chill.
Okay.
Sofia, is it true that you applied only to the INSEAD MBA?
Yes. I considered applying to Colombia. It was now like that. It opened on the 7th of June, but I'm already like paying the first quantity to INSEAD, and I feel like it's more aligned with my long-term objectives of entering like fashion in retail. So friends, in that sense, it's a good match for me. So I only applied to INSEAD, yes.
Because what you have to see, Kevin, there are 2 things to consider, and people who are listening to us, is that many students consider that Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, Columbia, MIT are somehow better schools. I don't know what they mean by better schools, but they consider that they are better names. And for their ego, you prefer to have Harvard or Wharton or whatever on their CV. What you have to see is that anyway, in terms of deadlines, it was impossible because Sofia, she had to get an answer by now, okay? And with Columbia, it would have been very difficult to get an answer from Columbia by May. So there's a clash. And once you get accepted to a school, you have to pay for the school, okay? So never do this mistake. Sometimes a student will say, I will try this school, and then I will apply to another school, and then another school, and then it doesn't work, okay? For instance, I have a student, what is his name is Carlos Gabilondo, who has been accepted to IAC, okay? He's going to defer now. I don't know what he's going to do, and then he's applying now to INSEAD. Okay, so probably either he pays IAC to secure his seat, okay, or he decides to refuse the offer without having the offer from INSEAD. So we always advise our students to apply to the schools in a certain way so that they get an answer from the school at the same time. By the way, you have to see that the INSEAD admission process is a pretty fast and pretty straightforward process. When in Colombia, you never know when they will reply to you. Okay, INSEAD has a certain time to reply to you. The process takes 2 months, and it's on their platform. So you say, okay, I applied that day. I will have my interview decision that day, my final decision another day. Okay, it's not the case with Colombia. So anyway, it's very difficult to plan with Colombia. And anyway, Sofia said with reason that she had an offer from INSEAD, she has to pay. And anyway, she decided to apply for INSEAD after having the offer from Colombia. Can you do? Plus, Colombia is very expensive. There's another issue with US MBAs that they are very expensive. They are very long and very expensive. And Colombia, it costs you 300,000 euros. Okay, so if you have 300,000 euros, why not? But I find that honestly, if you're a consultant, you want to work in consulting, you don't have to spend so much money. INSEAD or Harvard will bring you the same. Okay, you go to America if you want to work and stay and live in America, and probably if you want to raise money for a startup project, because there, of course, you get much more in America than what you can get in Asia or in Europe. But for the others, it doesn't make sense. Huh? So you see, Jaime, if you're an engineer and then you want to work for McKinsey, INSEAD will work perfectly well. Okay, if you're an engineer and you want to become the new Elon Musk, go to America. Okay, well, for sure, it will be difficult to raise the level of the money that you can raise in America, in Europe. Okay, but I don't know what you want to do. But I'm not sure. I don't know if you want to be the next Elon Musk. Huh? So that's what I have in mind. So Sofia, and also the thing that is also very funny is that you can see from my accent that I'm French. And what I've noticed is that when a French person has an interview with another French person, since we French who are not very at ease with English, okay, and usually my French students are in France, they switch to French, which is very funny, okay? And I'm sure that in Spain it's the same. When you Spaniard, you have a C1 level, you have said at INSEAD, and the other person is C1 level, and you start to have to talk, to joke to the person, you switch to Spanish easily. I think so, okay? So what is very funny with INSEAD is that probably people switch to Spanish, to their mother tongue easily, if they have the same mother tongue, okay? I see, for instance, I will never speak French to a French guy. Never. Okay, it's in our culture, it's completely crazy. They will say to the guy, it's completely nuts to speak English to me when his mother tongue is French. Okay, the French will feel insulted even. Okay, it will be a lack of respect. Of course, if the two are bilingual, Franco-American, and they speak French equally well as English, well, I can understand. You have a last question, Jaime? Jaime, you have a question for us? So, Sofia, in 30 seconds, if you could give your best piece of advice, what would you say?
Okay, my best, like I mentioned before,
Yeah.
I think it's a process. So define your strategy plan based on how much time you really want to take like this process. For me, I wanted to do it by January because I would start working again after Christmas. So like if you just define a timeline and then define a strategic plan and stick to it.
Hello?
And Kevin can help you do that, and Dr. Hubert can help you do that. But make a plan. Don't just go with the flow. It doesn't really work here.
Well, yeah, probably that's it. So be organized, be strategic. By the way, Sofia came with a friend of hers who was also a student from Kevin, Miguel, and they both got INSEAD. Miguel was a student of Kevin as well, Sofia, or not? Yes, he was a student of Kevin? Hello? Sofia?
No, he wasn't.
I know he prepared on his own. Okay, but he didn't score as well as you because he scored 660, and he came for the application, and he also got INSEAD. So basically, Sofia came with a friend of hers, and they both got INSEAD, and they both work for Oliver Wyman, and they will both start in January in Fonty, as you said. There's another thing that is important to know when you do INSEAD, is that it's a very international school. So if you're in Europe, it's a school that has a huge network that the American schools do not have. Okay, I'll give you an example. When I come from Belgium. When we have a Wharton presentation in Belgium, because they invite me because I have a lot of students who are Wharton graduates, we are 10. Okay, so the number of active alumni, Wharton alumni in Belgium, it's 10. Okay, so okay, I go to Wharton, maybe I can study I can work somewhere else. But I want to say that the network of US schools is very, very small. Okay, me, I went to Harvard. There's an Harvard University Club in Paris, in the 8th district. When I go, there are more cousins, nephews, and friends in the attendance than Harvard graduates. Okay, they come with their nephew, with their friends, because they expect that their nephews, their friends, their cousins will study at Harvard. But we're not many. Okay. When I also studied at Sciences Po, when I was at Sciences Po Paris, when I had alumni meetings in Belgium, we were 500 in Belgium. Okay, so it gives you an idea that it depends where you want to have your network. But if you're Spaniard and you believe that you'll go back to Europe, INSEAD makes the job. Last, is that INSEAD
Dr. We're just
international
quick
school?
one.
Yeah.
I really need to leave at this point.
Okay.
So if there's any questions for me, any last question that I can answer, because I really need to leave. I apologize
Yeah,
for
but
that.
it's fine. I would just put a right.
Sofia, are you applying for a scholarship?
Yeah, yeah. She doesn't need a scholarship because she's paid by Oliver Wyman.
I've got
right.
I've got company sponsorship.
So when you have company sponsorship, you have no scholarship.
Oh, what a pity.
Great,
Yeah.
because someone else will have a scholarship. Huh? Sofia, you left your scholarship for someone else. So basically, it was nice to see you. Last thing that I wanted to say is that don't forget that if you study at INSEAD, you can study one quarter in you can study 1/3 of the program in Fontainebleau, 1/3 in Wharton, and 1/3 in Singapore. So basically, maybe Sofia will study at Wharton as well. She won't be a Wharton graduate, but she will be a Wharton. She will be a Wharton. What is the status exactly? But she will have access to most of Wharton services. Okay, all her life. Okay, so she's not a Wharton graduate, but she's considered like a Wharton student. So she has access to the alumni network, to the care service. She can also come to Wharton if she wants to do extra studies. So it's not a bad option. Okay, it's half the price of a US MBA. Not even half the price. I would say 1/3 of the price of a US MBA. 1/3. Okay, you can study in 3 countries. It's 1 year, and if you want to go to Wharton, you can go to Wharton. Okay, well, it's a very good value for money. That's why INSEAD is ranked number 2 in the world. Okay,
Fantastic.
So, thank you, Kevin, my friend. I will see you soon.
And thank you, Sofia, for taking the time out to talk to us on a
Yeah,
weekend.
of course. Yeah, no, but I'm very busy.
Thank
I
you
work
so
all the
much.
time.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sofia. It was very nice. I hope to see you. I hope to finally. Yes, we met once, or we never met. We met. We met, or we never met. We met, but I hope to meet you another time before you go back to you move to Paris. Until when do you work? Until what? Late November, and then you take 1 month off to travel.
No, it's in January, I think, or December.
Okay. Have a good day, Sofia. Thank you very
Okay.
much for everything. Thank you.
You
Bye bye.
too. Bye.
Bye bye.